sir. Congratulations on your party's phenomenal performance, firstly. You're looking fitter than ever before. So the second, congratulations. But let me first talk to you about the great performance in the two states. Many people believe this gives the government, you yourself, the Prime Minister, the political capital for more reforms. Is there going to be a rush for more reforms? Has the stage been set for the big bangs, like everybody likes to call them?
You see, big bang is a media phrase. From the day this government has taken over, we have consistently, at times quickly, at times slowly, but surely moved in one direction and only in one direction. Economic activity has to be enhanced.
Right.
The investor confidence has to be regained. Investment cycle has to restart. It's a slow process. We have the advantage of a parliamentary majority, but we have a disadvantage of not being in majority in the Rajya Sabha.
That's right. Something that will change perhaps.
We also need majority in states. Haryana, Gurgaon is an area where a lot of activity happens.
That's right, yeah.
Mumbai and Maharashtra is an area which is the commercial capital of India. And therefore, if my party expands and forms a government in these states, it has a multiple advantage. The confidence level grows.
Right.
Our area of impact and influence grows. Our ability to get the states on board grows. My ability to now get these two states to be on board for GST grows.
That's right, yes.
Mumbai, a lot of economic activity because of absence of decision making, particularly in real estate, was at a standstill. Right. The new government will give it a push. That grows. My figures in the Rajya Sabha will substantially change.
That's right.
And therefore, that gives me a lot of advantage. And therefore, the Prime Minister and I are determined to move in that direction. And I think the last 5 months is an evidence enough that we moved in one direction. And the last 1 week is a very happening week.
Actually, the weekend is far more happening as well, and which is my next question. You've done the unthinkable. You've deregulated diesel, something that some of us did not ever think is going to happen in India. It was such a political decision.
You see, the Congress government, the UPA government had decided to re-regulate.
Right.
They took a decision, and I think they took a very wise decision, to increase the price 50 paisa per month so that it comes at par with the market price. Now, as luck would have it, it not only came at par with the market price, but the international prices fell.
Came down.
And therefore, we were able to add a sweetener to the deal. And the sweetener is that the prices actually came down by linking it to the market by 3 rupees 36 paisa. And therefore, it's being possible for us to easily market this decision and let the people know the advantage of this decision. So it also brings down the subsidy budget.
Absolutely it does, and they also say fortune favors the brave. Crude oil prices have come down substantially. I'm going to come to that in just a bit, sir. But like you said, because there are over-recoveries right now, it's easy to market this decision. Is this policy cast in stone? What happens when there are under-recoveries? What if the crude oil prices spike? Will you go back to reviewing it?
Obviously. It's obvious. Once it's linked to the price, it's like petrol.
Right.
When the petrol prices go up, crude prices grow up, petrol increases. When they go down, the petrol prices go down.
That's right.
We've been lucky enough to reduce the petrol price 5 times in the last 4 or 5 months. And therefore, tomorrow, if it were to increase, it increases. I think the department has been sensible enough to keep a little headspace.
Okay.
So if there is a little increase, they'll probably be able to absorb it. But if there's a substantial increase, of course, you'll have to pass the burden.
Why I'm asking this question is because your government's stance so far has been very pro-masses. You haven't done anything to burden the people so far, and which is why I'm asking you, how are you going to protect the consumer if there is a spike?
Let's be very clear. Reforms are an art of the possible. In a developing economy, there's a difference between carrying on reforms than carrying it in a developed economy. In a developed economy, people have tasted the fruits of development.
That's right.
In a developing economy, there's a section which hasn't. And therefore, whether it's opening bank accounts, or it is reducing the tax burden, or it is taking some steps which help the common man rather than burden the common man, I think when you make him feel the advantages of the reform process itself, that it's the volumes which will grow, it's the larger economic activity which will grow, and the burden of the common man goes down. It's then more easily possible to market reforms. Fortunately, we took over when the economy was at a rock bottom, and therefore it's from there that we have to take over.
Like I said, fortune favors the brave, and perhaps that's what is happening with crude oil prices coming down. I want to shift focus to gas. That's another decision that you've taken. The markets have given you a huge thumbs up, but some of the explorers that you speak to and big players there, off the record, they're not very happy with the 5.6 because in any case, it's a steep climb down from 8.4. Do you still believe it's a decision that will incentivize production?
It's a decision which is professionally taken. It's professionally taken. We appointed a Secretaries Committee.
That's right.
I've had the privilege of going through the report of the Secretaries Committee. The Secretaries Committee, besides the American and the European hubs, has factored in the Russian and the Canadian hub.
Yes.
They've excluded the Japanese hub because Japan never had a...
And it's always very steep prices.
It's very steep prices because they never had gas being explored themselves.
Right.
So the Secretaries Committee, to put it in the language of law, has excluded the irrelevant and included the relevant. It's a rational decision, and it averages out to 5.61. With some additions, they probably will for deep water get a little more. And even at this prices, the explorers are going to make a profit. Even at this price, so it's a balancing price where explorers will make some profit. They won't have a windfall profit. At the same time, the burden on the consumer would be minimal.
Yes.
So we balance the decision where there is incentive for investment in the sector. At the same time, the consumer is not overburdened.
But the existing explorers are not unusually overjoyed about it. How are you going to sell it to them?
There is a difference between profit and windfall profit. With this decision, the explorers may not make a windfall profit, they'll make a profit.
Because you were talking about the relevance and the irrelevance in the formula, I want to ask you this question. Every 6 months there will be a review because earlier in the day today, Mr. Pradhan in his interview to us said that eventually it could be market linked because there will be a 6-monthly review. With the political mandate that you have, why do you need to make this palatable in small doses? Why couldn't you have gone for a big hike in one go if without the review every 6 months?
No, because the prices have to be realistic. The prices don't have to favor just one group. The prices have to be realistic, they have to be market centric.
Right.
They can't be merely centric towards a windfall profit.
Is the government here also trying to sell out a very strong signal that the mandate of this government is to promote the interest of Aam Aadmi over big business?
Well, it's a balancing act. I am not against business or against big business. Therefore, if I don't consider profit a bad word, I think it's windfall profit which is a bad word. And therefore, as I explained, this ensures profit rather than windfall profit. At the same time, this also takes into interest and factors into interest the interest of the Aam Aadmi.
You know, we in the media like to call it big bag, like you rightly pointed out. We're obsessed with that term. But many people also believe this is the phase of reform too. Oh, there is a lot of expectations on many reforms happening. You started with small steps by unclogging the system. You're now looking at chewing the big decisions, really. The question that one would want to ask you at this stage, and especially from you, because you were the one steering it all, is there too much expectation, and does that need to be tempered at some stage?
You see, reforms are an art of the possible. And therefore, the art of the possible is always possible when the going is good. And therefore, in the first year of a government where people expect a lot of reform and there is a lot of popular support behind a reform process, it's more easily possible. In an election year or in a later year, it perhaps may not be possible. And therefore, it's extremely important that at this stage, we do what is possibly possible.
You also said that it is an act of balance between big business, between the interest of the Aam Aadmi. What is going to drive your reform agenda? Will it be the Aam Aadmi, the rating agencies, the foreign investors, corporate India? Who is going to drive the decision?
Well, I think my reform agenda is India must grow. The growth process must penetrate downwards. It must give me adequate revenue so that those who are outside the benefit of the reform process, I can distribute money for them. There is a certain amount of equity and I can therefore raise their level of living. I can eliminate poverty. I think it's a combination of several factors.
Sir, many people believe you've done your bit on the fuel sector reforms, but there's coal that is left to be touched. I know you want to take a call on that. I don't want to preempt a decision that will be taken in the cabinet, but just to be, just to talk about that big reform, because it's going to have such a cascading impact on everything else. Is it the right and the right time to get private miners into coal mining?
You see, speaking for myself, yes. Because I think there are ideas for whom a time has come. And therefore this whole idea of diluting the concept of nationalization is there. It's not necessary for us to touch Coal India. It's a monolith. It's been serving this country well.
Right.
But there is a lot of investment which is waiting. There are people who are actual users who need mining. There are people who are experts in mining.
That's right.
And therefore they can create a surplus as far as this country is concerned. And I think it is therefore eminent that we exploit the resources. Thirdly, amongst the various messes that this government had left on the table for us and refused to clear up, coal was one of them.
Yes.
Supreme Court has quashed the whole thing, and therefore the onus has fallen on us to resolve the issue. And very shortly you will hear from us. And when I say very shortly, it will be very, very shortly.
Perhaps in a matter of a few hours. I also think it's been a very matured way in which you've handled the Supreme Court verdict. Instead of bashing the courts, you've done your bit to make a decision. I would just want to shift focus to the macroeconomic situation. Things are looking up. First quarter welcomed you with a 5.7% GDP growth. But how confident are you that India will end with growth levels of 5.5% for the fiscal?
I'm reasonably confident we will do that. But at the same time, you see, my first worry was the monsoon.
That's right.
It's been a patchy monsoon. And therefore, I can't, if the monsoon was, and it's been a little inadequate.
Right.
I would have been happier if it was a few percentage more.
Right.
The international oil prices was another area of worry. Fortunately, they have moderated.
I told you fortune favors the brave.
And therefore these are welcome factors. But then there are worries. There is no credit offtake from the banks.
Right.
The banking sector is not in the best of health.
True.
There are a large number of NPAs. Now, I need people to pick up credit from the banks. I need economic capital goods are low.
Right.
Raw material imports are low, which indicates that the manufacturing sector is not doing well.
Right.
And therefore, all these incentives which from day one, from the budget till today, we are doing as far as the manufacturing sector is concerned, I need it to grow. You can't merely grow because the service sector is growing.
That's right.
Because of a patchy monsoon, I don't expect a very positive figure as far as agriculture is concerned. If I can maintain the figures of last year, I'll be quite happy. If it increases a little, I'll be quite happy. I hope that happens. Because of a late monsoon, I expect the Rabi to be, the Kharif to be much better.
Yeah.
And I do hope that the third and the fourth quarter is when economic activity picks up a lot. And therefore, even if we may have a more modest second quarter, I do hope that there is a better third quarter than a fourth quarter.
The second half looks better. There has been a substantial respite as far as inflation is concerned, both on WPI and CPI. As the Finance Minister of this country, can I ask you this quick question, that does this make the case for RBI to lower rates, especially because your predecessor seems to have said that the government should now coax the central bank to do so?
Well, speaking for myself, I would like the rates to go down. And therefore, my advice would be that the rates should go down. And when the rates start going down, the offtake of credit will increase. There will be a lot of economic activity which will come up. But I do concede to the Reserve Bank its professional decision to do so. And I'm sure the Reserve Bank is sensitive to this.
You gave a huge lifeline to the auto sector when you came in. It's just beginning to come out of the woods, so to say. The lifeline will expire in December. Do you believe there is a case for an extension?
We'll factor all these factors in. Therefore, please wait for the decision when the
What about gold imports, sir? There is huge clamour for the curbs to go.
Let the festival season be over. I'll have a look at it.
And will there be a decision then?
I'll look at it. I don't want to spoil the festival season. It's only a few days away. And therefore, after the festival, I'll have a relook at it.
Two quick last questions. One is on the markets. They've seen a huge surge ever since you people came into office, 10.5% up for the Indian indices. The question that one would obviously want to ask you is, does the rally at one level make you nervous? Because it's relentless.
It doesn't. Frankly, Indian market, I've never been able to understand the method in the market. It's more sentiment driven. It's more, I wish it was exclusively performance driven, but that's not how markets work. We look at the market, it creates an environment, certainly.
Right.
But markets moving up and markets moving down, there are a lot of international factors, there are a lot of factors relating to FIIs which deal with it, and therefore markets alone are no indication. I don't base my optimism or pessimism on the performance of the markets alone.
I want to ask you one question on business and then one last on politics. The one question that I want to ask you on business is, we are given to understand by, again, top finance ministry sources, like they're always quoted, that GAR is not going to happen till growth picks up substantially.
Well, I've been studying it. I've been taking a presentation. I've not taken a final decision. And as and when I take a final decision, we'll make it. We'll announce it. All
right. One last question on politics. You've done very well in Maharashtra, the single largest party, all of that, but you haven't still touched that majority mark. There is a clamour within the NCP to offer you support. The question is two-forked, if I may. The first question is, does Sena become a natural ally, or will you be befriending new people?
Well,
like
we are in a Swayamvar situation, and therefore we'll choose the best. And the party will take a decision.
Is it at one level immoral for the BJP, if I may use that word, to go with NCP? Because you called them corrupt during the campaign. Well,
I'll tell you, politics are Bohr's vacuum. I would have been happier if we had 20 seats more. Don't forget, the BJP alone did well.
That's right.
I was expecting 130, 135 upwards for the BJP and its allies. Unfortunately, out of the 28 seats that we left for the allies, we won only one.
That's right.
So if my allies had the same strike rate as I had, then probably we would have crossed the 135 figure. And it would have been possible for us to form a stable government with a little support from outside. We are stuck at 123, our allies have won, and I'm sure we'll have some small support also from some other parties. We'll look at all the options, and therefore the party will take a view.
Is the unconditional support from the NCP a better thing than all the conditions that Sena lays out all the time?
Well, I won't make a comment on it because the Sena has been a very old ally. The NCP has been very gracious to announce support in terms of a stable government needed for Maharashtra, and therefore I am not going to poo-poo that proposal either or run down that proposal in any way. The party will take a view. But because we are committed to giving a stable government, whatever is the best option in the larger interest of the people of Maharashtra, we'll take that view.
As the finance minister, you're bang in the middle of budget making. What's occupying complete mind space?
We are at the initial stage of budget making. And therefore, I had only 40 days last time to prepare the budget.
Right.
This time, of course, it will be an exercise which will go over for 5 months. And I'm sure we will be able to do our best. But please remember, a budget is a directional document.
That's right. Yes.
It's a document of a statement of accounts. There is a lot of reform that takes place outside the budget. And therefore, columnists who start commenting on the budget and saying, oh, reform A didn't happen in the budget.
It could happen outside.
But there are 364 other days in the year, as we have demonstrated.
That's right.
Every week if we take a positive step, or every month if we take a positive step, please judge us by our cumulative performance.
When you had taken over, you said defense was a temporary arrangement. It doesn't seem so. Your Prime Minister trusts you too much to let go of anything.
But please look at what I've done to defense.
Absolutely.
Defense manufacturing has opened.
True.
Defense JVs are being entered into. I hold a meeting of the Defense Acquisition Council every month.
Right.
Decisions are being taken. I have de-licensed 53% of the defense items as far as India is concerned.
Right.
I am now going to make sure that India moves in the direction of not merely being an importer of defense equipment, but a manufacturer of defense equipment. Now, in less than 5 months, if we've created that situation, I'm quite happy.
India doesn't need a defense minister.
I'm conscious of the fact. I'm conscious of the fact that people call me a part-time defense minister, but I'm a fairly decisive defense minister.
And that's all that matters. Thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.